I feel I have credentials to inform you on this because 3 years ago I was taking an American history class in high school and we were learning about the Salem witch trials. My teacher then had informed us of everything that we needed to know about the trials for the test, so I went and learned more information about online because I was interested in it, and I feel I have enough information to provide you today. I would like to inform you about how they came about, state when the first episode or hysteria occurred, and explain the various theories proposed to the cause of it, and to portray why they suddenly just ended out of nowhere. Okay, this is Dr. William Gregg in this picture, and this is Betty Paris laying down, and she was one of the first girls who became strangely ill, and he's examining her, trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and she had all these weird symptoms. She just dashed about, dove under furniture, she complained of pain and fever, and then she finally revealed who possessed her. And she named 3 witches, and the first ones were Tituba, which was an obvious choice because she was an Indian slave. She lived with this family, Reverend Samuel Paris family. This is his daughter. And Sarah Good, which was a beggar, and she was a social misfit who lived wherever someone would house her. And Sarah Osborne, she was old, quarrelsome, and had not attended church for over a year, so she was an obvious choice to be a witch also. And when the Dr. William Griggs, he suggested that the girls' problems might have a supernatural origin, he thought, you know, maybe they're possessed, maybe it's the devil. The most cause of it would they always blame Satan because, you know, he was Satan and he was evil, so they would always assume that. People began to assume numerous amounts of things about hearing after Betty Paris, and a couple of them being that their God had abandoned them, evil forces had bewitched them, God allowed Satan to tempt and torment those who strayed from the path of righteousness, and Satan came into people's lives in the form of a witch. And Tituba, right here, she was from Barbados, and she told girls stories and they became possessed. So they thought she was the main cause, because she was telling all these girls these stories, and she's like, they assumed that she was doing it. And they thought it was from practicing witchcraft, and they thought the devil might make mischief by taking the shape of an innocent person. As innocent could be, you know, as an unborn child, anybody, you know, it could be anybody who, they're just pointing at somebody and say, oh, you're a witch, just because you're innocent or just because. Second, I would like to explain to you all the various theories proposed to have caused the witch hysteria, and many were Satan. They believed that he was acting in their world. And the invisible word, disease, natural catastrophes, and bad fortune attributed to the work of the devil. And a belief that a person afflicted by witchcraft exhibits certain symptoms. Cotton Mather, he wrote this book right here called Memorable Providences. He was an old minister who lived in Boston and found the study of witchcraft made to order for his neurotic and oversexed spirituality. And he published it in 1689. It was a best-selling book. And most of the villagers thought, they read the book and they thought, oh, well, he must be right. He knows everything. So they believed everything he said. And this is the village of Salem. This is how it was back then. Some of it is kind of the same today. And this is a map of Salem, and this is the Salem village. And these little circles right here are all the witches, because, see, it's outside of the village, so they're all over the place. So anybody was assumed to be a witch. Now that I've explained to you all the various theories proposed to cause the witch hysteria, I'm going to inform you on why they suddenly ended. Okay? Okay, and this is Giles Corey. He was an 81-year-old man who was pressed to death because he was a witch, so that he got killed. He was called, the last thing he said was more weight. He wanted more rocks on him to be killed. He obviously wasn't a witch, but anybody who was anybody was assumed a witch. So he was pressed to death, and most of them were hanged to death. And Rebecca Nurse, she was also another witch that was killed. The jury, they first acquitted her, and then the judges had to go back and redo it because they thought that they had to rethink their thought. And also, Samuel Sewall, one of the judges, he issued a public confession of guilt and an apology because they came to realize that it was a mistake and it was all just an unsolved mystery and they didn't mean any of it. It just all got to be a crazy hysteria. And this is the meeting house, the courthouse that they still have today. And this is one of the judge houses that is still there today also. And they believed, in the Bible, so they were really trying to focus on God, and it was just hard. They believed that God had failed them. So, in closing, I would like to sustain that my purpose was to inform my audience how the witch trials came about, how the theories caused the hysteria, and why they suddenly ended. And in conclusion, I would like to say that there is a lesson that can be learned from hearing about the hysteria, which is children can be influenced by suggestion and peer pressure to say things that are not true. Thank you all for coming.